All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Free Write Friday. My name is Jessica Lynn Johnson. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm the founder and the CEO of Soaring Solo Studios. And Soaring Solo Studios is a company that is dedicated to developing, directing, and producing solo shows. And Heather, my solo partner in crime, Heather Dowling, she and I help clients from all over the world go from just the kernel of an idea to touring internationally, and we work with people all over the globe, and it's our passion. So we're excited that you're here today. A little bit of backstory about me. I'm a solo artist myself. I toured for over 13 years with my two solo shows, Oblivious to Everyone and Z. Those were my two solo shows, and I worked a lot in the college market, and the festival market, and even performed off Broadway for a while with my first solo show. So that's a little bit of backstory with me as a solo artist. And as a director and developer, I've directed and developed over 150 solo shows. I've worked with hundreds of solo artists and in other capacities over the last 20 years that I've been in this industry. And I'm on the advisory board with the Los Angeles Women's Theater Festival that has been around for 31 years, I think is how long we've been around as an organization. And I'm also a blogger for NoHo Arts. I write a blog called Soaring Solo, which has a bunch of tips for solo artists. So you can find me there as well. So that's a little bit about me. I'd love to hear about you. Please say hi in the chat. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Let me know where you're at in your solo theater journey. Are you just kind of dabbling, curious about doing a solo show? Have you already written your first draft and you're editing and tweaking? Or maybe you're already touring with a solo show and thinking about a second, or anywhere in between. So please say hi and let me know a little bit about yourself. And the mission of Free Write Friday is just for us to come together in creative community, spend about 20 minutes getting a writing prompt, writing, and making some progress on our solo shows. And so that is what we're aiming to do today. It's not really a space for Q&A or performance. That really more happens on my free Saturday morning classes, which you can also find on my website under free stuff. But this is really more just so we can write and look at structure together. So if you missed any Free Write Fridays, you can always go to my YouTube channel and watch. I've got dozens and dozens of Free Write Friday videos exploring different things. So feel free to go back and watch them. But I like to create each one as kind of a standalone piece as well, so that you get something out of it, even if you missed previous Free Write Friday sessions. Okay, so for the last, it's been over a year now, we've been looking at Save the Cat. And Save the Cat is a screenplay structure book that was written by Blake Snyder, who was a Hollywood screenplay writer. And we've been looking at it through the lens of a solo artist. And so today is actually going to be our last day looking at Save the Cat. Woohoo! We have been, like I said, picking it apart for over a year. And today we are looking at the finale, or sorry, the final image, which is beat 15 of Blake Snyder's screenplay formatting. So looking at the final image through the lens of a solo artist, we look at the final image as something that contrasts the opening image of the solo show, something that shows the arc of transformation for the solo artist. So for example, we want to, in the beginning of the play, show the artist circumstance, show the character, the protagonist circumstance of what's their job, what's their romantic life like, what's their personality flaws or strengths at the beginning of the show. And by the final image, we really want to contrast that so that we're showing transformation throughout the show. And I'm sure you've all seen solo shows where it's just kind of, it doesn't really go anywhere. It kind of meanders. It's kind of anecdotal, and there's just some stories and snapshots from life, but there's not really a clear through line and a clear transformation of the protagonist. And we really want to avoid that kind of meandering bland way of presenting our stories. We really want to think in terms of an arc and a transformation of ourselves as the protagonist, or if we're playing a character, same rules apply. So I'll give you an example from one of the members of the Soaring Solo community who I think really illustrates this beautifully. Her name is Paige Wilhide, and Paige's show is called Breakup Addict. And at the beginning of the show, we get the opening image, which really represents Paige as a love addict, a sex addict, and she's in a 12-step meeting and kind of just sharing about her addiction and sharing about her kind of lot in life at that point of not having true love and being addicted and kind of not even knowing if she wants to be at the meeting. And that's where the show starts, kind of in these darker, depressing yet comedic, the way she delivers it, tone. And by the end of the show, we've gone on this whole journey of transformation where Paige really faces her inner demons. She recounts all of these dating and sexual and romantic encounters that she's had. She digs into her childhood and looks at how that influenced the trajectory of her life. And by the end of the show, we have a scene where Paige is breaking up with her addict, and that's a personification of her addiction that becomes a very important character in the show. So at the end of the show, she's befriending sisterhood, which is a character that obviously represents sisterhood. She is befriending her own intuition. She's befriending higher power, and she's letting go of addict and breaking up with addict. So that is kind of the snapshot of the end of the show that really shows us that this character is now stronger. She is possessing much more self-love, much more self-awareness. And is headed into good and hopeful territory. That's kind of where the show ends. So as you can see, where it starts and where it ends are two very, very different places. And that's really what we want to go for with our shows. So for today, what I want you to think about from your own life, when you really think about an area of your life where you've had the most growth, the most transformation, something that's notable, maybe you faced your own addiction and you're on the other side of it, or you're in a much better place with it. Maybe you went through a divorce and that was a really dark and depressing hard time, and now you're out there dating again, and you're believing in second chances. Anything like that, where you look at who you used to be and who you are now, and you see that there's an arc, there's a transformation, there's growth. Start to identify that, and when you think about who you've become, what is a snapshot? What is that final image, so to speak, as Blake Snyder references it, that you can show your audience that gives them an idea of who you are now? What's that final image? Is that you at a party celebrating a promotion? Is that you at the altar marrying someone? Is it you on a vacation or climbing a mountain or whatever it might be? Maybe it's going to a meeting, a 12-step meeting, and finally facing your demons, and that's where the show ends. Whatever it is, I want you to think about what is that image, that final image that demonstrates who you became after the transformation. So hopefully that makes some sense. I'm going to set my timer for 8 minutes, and I just want you to free write, uncensored. Don't worry about punctuation or being entertaining, or if anybody's going to ever see it. Just do this for you and let it come out on the page, and see what you discover. So I will let you know when your time is up. If you do have any questions about the assignment, just private message me. All right, go for it. I have about 4 minutes left. 4 minutes. Okay, and just under a minute left. Okay, and please wrap up your writing. And I always say if you're writing in like a journal or scrap paper or something like that, I would encourage you to transcribe it so that you can have it in a document on your computer and start accumulating material and discover what you have in terms of a solo script. And you'll see in the chat right now, I am putting some various announcements, which I'm going to go through in a second. Let me put the last of these here in the chat. Okay. So the takeaway I would say with this is, as solo artists, we really want to have a very strong beginning, middle, and end of our solo shows. Again, we don't want a meandering anecdotal show that has no real point to it. And a great way to ensure that that happens is thinking of the main character's life in terms of a character arc and making sure that we have a strong opening image as well as a final image to illustrate that journey in between. Now, I know that as I was describing this at the beginning of class, I was talking more in terms of a positive trajectory, a positive transformation. And it is worth noting that sometimes you actually want to do the opposite with your solo show, especially if you're speaking to, a societal issue or something that um, you want to call out and say needs transformation and needs attention. So, for example, with the film Requiem for a Dream, which is all about drug addiction and big pharma and things like that, those characters' opening image and final image are showing the degradation of those characters and how we meet them in a far worse place by the end of the film than we did when we first met them at the very beginning of the film. And that was, obviously to shed light on those issues within society and not leave the audience feeling warm and fuzzy and relieved at the end, but instead to turn their attention to something that needs attention. So you can also go that route as well. I should have mentioned that at the beginning of class, but better late than never. So I'm going to just talk you quickly through the announcements and we'll call it a day. And always feel free to email me at soaringsoloartist@gmail.com if you have questions about any of this. But my next free class, my 90-minute Saturday class, which is free, and I've been teaching that for over a decade. It's called The Art of Creating the One-Person Play. That is happening on Saturday, April 20th on Zoom, 10 a.m. to 11:30 Pacific, 12 to 1:30 Central, and 1 to 2:30 Eastern. So you can sign up under free stuff on my website, and you'll get your confirmation email. And if you ever did want to work with myself or Heather in a more professional capacity, we do initial consultations. That's probably the best place to start with us. So you can email me about that. Again, soaringsoloartist@gmail.com, or just fill out a contact form on my website. And then we also do this event called Revealed, which is a virtual reading series for solo artists. So we love to take scripts that are works in progress and have the solo artist read that on a virtual stage and get some feedback on what's working, what's not working, and have that input from a virtual audience before you go through all the trouble of memorizing and staging and hiring your production team and all those sorts of things. So if you're interested in learning more about Revealed, pop me an email and we can see if that would be a good fit for you. And it's also so important to put stakes in the ground that you're working towards, so you actually make your solo show happen. And so something like Revealed is high stakes, but not as high of stakes as getting your show on an actual stage. So it gives you something kind of in between to work toward. And if you enjoyed today and you want to come back, the next Free Write Friday is happening on April 26th at 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 11:30 Central, 12:30 Eastern. So sign up the same way you did today. And if you enjoyed this and you want to watch the YouTube videos of Free Write Friday and go back and catch stuff and give yourself some accountability for writing and getting things done, definitely go to my YouTube channel, which again is in the chat. And I'm a huge advocate of getting involved in the festival circuit as a beginning solo artist. This is such a strong way to build your resume, to get credits, to be reviewed by reviewers, to get awards, and to get audience responses and testimonials, to get videography of your show so you can submit it to higher, more professional opportunities, and things of that nature. So the Binge Fringe Festival at the Santa Monica Playhouse is a great one. United Solo in New York City, Hollywood Fringe Festival, Orlando Fringe, the LA Women's Theater Festival. And then I also co-produced the Stars series by Soaring Solo alongside Heather. So there's lots of opportunities, and that's such a tiny drop in the bucket of all the festivals that are available for you to submit to. So start doing your research, look in your area or look at a city where you have a built-in audience and start seeing what festivals are happening. And even if it's not a solo theater festival, it might still be a festival that allows solo theater to be part of it. So that's a great way to start. And if you're in the Los Angeles area, next week, I've been brought on board to direct the Los Angeles Women's Theater Festival 31st year. So that's going to be happening next week. And if you're in the area, we'd love to have you. You can go to lawtf.org and get your ticket for that. It's going to feature 19 solo artists from all over the globe. Has an opening gala and a champagne toast and all these great things. So I'd love to see you there and actually meet you in person. And then again, I mentioned my NoHo Arts blog called Soaring Solo, which has a bunch of different blog entries to help you as a solo artist, all for free. So I hope today was helpful. I'm going to jump off, but I will leave the chat up for a little bit in case you want to write any of that down and email me with any questions. Thanks, everyone.